Hi, this is Rahim Zulfikar Ali from Excel Basement Private Limited, and in this video we will learn that how to get the multiple values with the help of VLOOKUP of the same attribute, and we will also see a different alternate method of solving the same query. So first we will try to solve with the help of Excel function, and then we will execute towards the alternate option. So this is one of the challenge or a query you can say, and we have a data set here on the left side. So it consists of 6 different columns: serial numbers, dates, month, slip number, quantity, and amount. And what is actually required by the user is he wants the slip number of each of the month in a separate column, and he also wrote that need all the slip number month wise accordingly through formulation or in some easy way. So first let's solve this query with the help of Excel function, and then we will try to get involved in next alternate solution as well, or in some of the easy way. So now here if we start using the normally Excel VLOOKUP function, so I hope that you are intermediate to advanced level of user, and you know the assumption of VLOOKUP is that if I start writing VLOOKUP and I define the lookup value as a name of a month, and I start selecting the table array and then defining the column index number and output number of the column and then false for the exact match, so it will repeat the slip number of April with the first occurrence. It will not move towards a second occurrence or a third occurrence. That's the limitation of VLOOKUP, that it will not go to the second occurrence or third occurrence and so on. So it will just give vertically the first occurrence of each of the month value, right? So that's the limitation, and this is the same limitation with index and match as well. So we are required here to do a calculation. We need to have one extra column or a helper column, you can say, where we will creating a unique list of values, and then that column will be work as a lookup value in VLOOKUP, and we will fetch easily the second occurrence and third occurrence of each of the slip number against that particular month in a different way in each of the column as required by the user. So let's get started. First I will give a title to this helper column. So I have given a combo name here. You can give any alternate name or easy name you would like to, and I will try to create a logic here that will give me every time a different value, and that column will be saved as a primary key which contains no duplicates. So I will be using count if function here, and I will refer to the cell D3. And if you know count if, so count if, basically there are two function arguments in the count if, the range and the criteria. So when I drag down this function below of this column, so the range word dynamically increases, and every time in each of the row that criteria will check, and according to that particular number or the occurrence, count if generate a number in a cell. So let me just copy and paste, and as you can see that count if is generating 1 here. Let me just make it a more zoom so that you can see easily. So count if function is generating 1 here because April is coming in this particular one cell one time. Then definitely, as I told you, that when this function copy downs towards this column, the range is automatically increasing because the first cell is absolute and the second is relative. So definitely the relative references change their address when they copy downwards or the rightwards. So in each of the row the range has been increasing, and the cell which is in red color, as you can see, is basically a criteria. So every time in every row that particular criteria is being checked in that entire range, and a number is generated by this count if function. Okay, now I will also add ampersand sign, and I will click on cell D3 again. So now it combining two values together or two logics together, or you can say two outcomes together. So one is being generated by the count if function, and D3 is definitely whatever is in D3 is being just concatenate with the one number. Okay, and I will just copy and paste this entire formula. So in this particular column we don't have any duplicate, and that's the main logic of this solution would be that VLOOKUP will handle the second occurrence and the third occurrence in each of the month according to a different slip number as an output. So let me quickly apply the VLOOKUP function here, equals to VLOOKUP, and I also need to make some changes in the lookup value. So I will not refer this J2, which is the name of the month April, directly, because I know that April is not presented in this first column of the database, which is on the left side, and we also know that because we are using VLOOKUP, so VLOOKUP lookup value is always considered in the first column of the data set. So there is no April, there is either 1 April or a 2 April. So I need to also add some logic here which generates 1 and 2 serial number within this lookup value. So there is a function called rows. So I will write rows, and you can refer to any cell, for example R45, you can refer to A1, you can refer to Z22. So whatever cell you refer within the rows, colon sign and then the same cell reference. Okay, and you are required to put this first cell as an absolute. So specific to this, let me explain you this. Specific to this function of rows, basically it generates a number. It generates a serial number when we copy and paste this entire formula to the downward. So it says that the range is only selected of a one row starting from R45 and ending till R45. So it will give an output as a number. It will generate 1. But when it copied downwards, definitely this first R45 will remain the same, but the relative reference will convert into R46. So now the range has been increased and there are 2 rows within the rows function, so it will generate 2 automatically, right? So now here I will add ampersand sign. So now this means this specific function output returns 1, ampersand sign which will join with the cell J2. So this entire equation means, which I have selected here, this means that 1 April. So now this will be a dynamic lookup value, and this value we are required to search. And remember that you need to follow the mixed referencing as well, because once you create the logic in the first cell, you are required to copy down its downwards and the rightwards as well. Okay, now the table array would be that entire data set. You can give this entire data set a name as well, and you can use a name range, or if you are using the relative reference, so you are required to make it absolute by pressing F4 so that the $ would appear. This means that the range has been now fixed. And then the column index number, so what we are required is the slip number, which is the column 5th of this data which we have selected, and definitely the exact match, so we will write false here. So we got the first slip number for the month of April, and we will just copy and paste downwards as well. Okay, so we got 2 different. Now see that the second occurrence of a slip number in the month of April is also fetched by the VLOOKUP, right? And in the third cell it's generate NA, because there is no third occurrence in the month of April with respect to the slip number. So if you are not required to see the NA in the cell, so as an advanced level of user, you might know that generally we use if error function to make sure that if error is generated, that it would replace by a blank cell. So I have marked 2 times inverted commas, this means blank, and I will just copy and paste that, right? So if I change this May into April, so you can see that the third occurrence is being fetched by the help of VLOOKUP, right? So let me just correct that again. This is May, right? Alright, so I will just copy and paste this rightwards, and now you can see that very easily we just created a logic in one cell, right? We just created the logic in one cell, and after creating that logic, easily VLOOKUP is giving us we have resolved the duplication issue, and the second occurrence and third occurrence is also coming up very easily with the respective months. So we have solved the query with the help of Excel formula, as the user was required to need all the slip numbers month wise in each of the column according to the formulation, right? So this is the formula. Let me just copy paste, and now we will move towards the alternate approach. So we will explore if there is any alternate approach is available instead of this logic. Now the next solution would be is, let me just copy the data in a next sheet, values and formats. Alright, so now we have a data here, and what we are required is we need to transform this data in this way, right? We need all the slip numbers in a separate column for each of the month. So let's make this normal range data into a table format, and now we will be using one interesting tool that is called ETL tool, extract transform loading tool, available in Excel, that is called Power Query. So we will first select this entire data, and I will go to the insert tab and click on table, or you can press the shortcut key Ctrl T. So when you press Ctrl T or you click on insert tab and table, so you will get a small window that is called create table. Press OK, and now once this normal range data converted into table format, we will push this data into the Power Query. So I will go to the data tab and I will click on from table or range. So now Excel will let us into the Power Query editor window, and this is the ETL tool, which is very awesome. And you will find the difference what we have solved the query just before with the help of formula. Now here we will use this transformation tool. So as you know that we are not longer required with the serial number column, also the date, quantity and amount. So we don't need these 4 columns, we just need month and slip number, and we need to make all those slip numbers split into column wise for each of the month. So I will select month and slip number column, and I will right click. So in this contextual menu you have to select remove other columns. So definitely it will remove other columns, and we are left with now 2 columns, that is month and slip number. Remember that whatever you perform in the Power Query, on the right side in the query settings, this navigation pane, all the steps which you will perform, you will click on any of the features one by one. These steps will be recorded here, and anytime if you don't want to save that, or you want to undo basically, so you can just click on this cross button, so that comes as an undo button. Okay, so you can go back to that original position as well. Let me do it for you. So see this, I just click on cross button of my last step, so I came back again to my previous position. So let me do it again, month and slip number, remove other columns. Okay, now what we are required to do is we need to split the slip number for each of the month in a separate column, right? So in the transform tab we have a option called pivot column. So there is 2 features that are vice versa, pivot columns and unpivot columns. If you want to learn about unpivot columns, go to our YouTube channel Excel Basement, where I have already published the 1 or 2 videos related to the unpivot columns. But in this query we will be using the pivot column feature. So I will select the month column and I will click on pivot column. Okay, so when I will click on pivot column, a window will appear here, and I want to pivot on the values column, that is the slip number. I will expand the advanced options, and in the aggregation, instead of count all, select don't aggregate, because we are not required to do any kind of calculation here. We just need all the slip numbers in a separate column for each of the months, so we are not required to do aggregation. So we will select here don't aggregate, click OK. So when you click OK, each of the month is coming as a header in a separate column, April, May, June, but below that we don't see any kind of data, and that's strange. And also we are seeing that error. So let's investigate what kind of error this is. So when I click on this error, so it says that expression.error, there were too many elements in the enumeration to complete the operation. So why is it so? Why this pivot columns is not working? Because it is not finding one helper column which generates a number, serial number, to split that data in particular rows according to that column. So we are less with here with one helper column which generates number, sequential number, and we will do with the help of one M language code, and that's very easy. So let's do it. So I will undo this step. Okay, after undoing that step, now we are not having one helper column which basically gives us the serial number 1, 1, 2, 3. Just like we created at the starting of the video, I told you the COUNTIF function that was generating. So that logic is not present here. That's why this pivot column feature is not working. Now for that, we are required to do 2 to 3 steps here. First, we will select this month column and we will use the feature that is called group by. Okay, so you will find that in the transform tab, and you will also find this same feature in the home tab as well, group by. So you can go with anywhere. So when I click on group by, this window will appear here, and in the operations, open this drop down menu and select all rows. Okay, so in the operation, select all rows and click OK. So now your month column has been grouped, and if you can see that there is no slip number column here. Instead of that, we have a new column here that is count, and it's written table here. So we need to fetch all those slip numbers, and we need to also pivot columns, separate columns of each of the month, right? So for that step, we will go to add column tab. Okay, we will go to add column tab, and here we will click on custom column. So when you click on custom column, you can give a neat and nice name to that custom column, or you can go with a default name as you like. So I'm writing here one M language code, that is table dot add index column. Okay, so once you write a few initials for that code, the IntelliSense will enable, and that will help you to how to fill that function arguments as well. So if you don't know what is this table dot add index column, let me tell you how you can read about it. So you can just go to Google and type table dot add index column Power Query, and you will find a link that is called docs.microsoft.com, where you will find this code syntax and examples in detail, where you can read it further, that how it utilizes in different kind of examples. But so after this video, go ahead and explore these dictionary of M language codes, where you can easily understand back to this M language code. So table dot add index column, first we will add this column that is count. So I will double click on it, and it will automatically be written here, square bracket count, and then a square bracket again, and then comma. Second new column name would be index. So it will come in the inverted commas, comma space 1 and bracket close. That's it. So after completing this statement, press OK, and you will get one more column here, that is the custom column. And on top of this, on the right side, you will find a drop down menu. Click on that, uncheck this option, use original column name as prefix, and what you are required is you need to add one column that is index, and also you need to fetch all those slip numbers as well. Exclude the month here. Okay, so after doing that, press OK. Now see that you got a column that is generating a serial number 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Now depends on the month repeating in each of the row. So April is repeating 2 times, so every time index is generating a different number, a different occurrence number, 1, 2. And what this column will do is, now this column will be using as a helper column, and it will help you to split that slip numbers in each of the row. So if you see this index column, so 1 is appearing here, again 1 is appearing in the month of May, and then this in this specific one is also appearing 3rd time for this slip number in the month of June, right? So this 1, 2, 3 means that it will split all these slip numbers in each of the particular row, separated by this specific column that will split into 3 different columns, right? Now you are not required this count column, so just right click and remove this column. And last but not the least, here comes the magic of Power Query. So now I have selected the month column. I will go to the transform tab and I will click on pivot column. Before that, if you seen this video, before that we just have 2 columns, month and the slip number. We don't have that index column, right? So in that scenario it was producing an error because it was not getting a helper column that how to split each of the slip number in what columns. So but now we have added one M language code, that is table.add index column, that will help us to generate a serial number for each of the month occurrence. And now I have selected the month column here, and I will click on pivot column. And definitely we need to split all slip numbers into various columns, and in the aggregation we will select don't aggregate, and I will press OK. That's it, boom. So as you can see that in each of the month column, all slip numbers relevant to that particular column has been split, and that was the main work of this index column, that it split row wise that particular data, right? And once you are done with all the transformation, you can see that all your steps has been recorded here. If you want to explore the M language, you can go to Home tab and click on Advanced Editor and explore this entire code of your query, right? So once you are done with it, go to Home tab, click on Close and Load, and now your data will load in a separate sheet within that Excel workbook. And the best part is that later on, if your data gets appended, now see that this is the exactly same kind of output which we did with the help of Vlookup here, right? And we added the one helper column as well here. So this is the same entire column. Output has been produced by Power Query. So the one more benefit is that if we add 2 more transitions to this data, for example this is June and 1 more for the July, so when I go again to this data, I just need to go to Data tab and click on Refresh. Superb. So now as you can see that you are not required to insert 1 more column, or you are not required to copy and paste the Vlookup again and again. So it automatically adjusts that data in that particular column and increases the data as well, just clicking on refresh button, right? So this is the magic of Power Query. So I hope you like both the techniques, and I hope you understand the query as well. So there are now 2 kind of school of thoughts in Excel as well. You can see in the industry, the users who are solving their queries with the help of formulas, the ones who are using the modern tools, BI tools, and one of them is ETL tool, that is Power Query, to make their life easier. So I hope you like this video. Thank you so much. Do share, and if you have any questions, do comment.